what's going on? This is Toad Moto. You're going to want to stick around on this video because I'm going to do my 2019 FSE 250e dirt bike review. But I guess for this last part of the ride, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my 1 year review. So it's crazy to think about it, but 1 year ago in November 2019, I bought my first dirt bike. And it was this guy right here, the GPX Moto FSE 250e. And before I bought it, I had a KLR that I believe it was a 2016 that I got back in 2015 that I had, and I loved riding it. I just didn't do a lot of off-road riding with it. In fact, right before I sold it, I took a trip down to Moab, and I did the Potash Trail, which I highly recommend if you guys have never done that one. That's probably, I mean, it's not a hard ride, but it's just eye candy galore. So I sold my KLR, and it was a lot of thought put into it, man. I found myself watching a lot more dirt bike videos than adventure riding. Like, I was watching quite a bit of adventure riding and camping videos, but man, I just wanted something that wasn't quite as chunky and big as my KLR. And then at the same time, I didn't want to get into something or bite off more than I could chew. I just had back surgery at the beginning of September of 2019, and so buying a dirt bike in November, a couple months after it, isn't really ideal. And then I had hip surgery before that. You guys probably heard me say it a million times, but so it wasn't really ideal circumstances. Brandon was the one that actually showed me about GPX, which happens to be located just right down the road from where I live. And before GPX, I was looking at like Chinese dirt bikes on like different like go-kart sites, or some like really cheap 250. And how I looked at it was like, well, I've never ridden a dirt bike before. I don't care if it's like a crappy one that doesn't last that long, but it'll give me an idea if I like it or not. And Brandon showed me GPX, and so I checked them out, and it's just their bike seems far superior. And then I got kind of their mid-level bike. So when I bought my bike, it was just over $3 grand out the door from the distributor from GPX. And let me open up this cattle gate, and I will continue my story. Alright, give you a little bit of my history. I grew up, my old man had a 175 Yamaha dirt bike that we never really rode. He got it fixed like one time, and he rode it with us on the back of it. I remember one time he was riding on like the gravel by the side of our house. He slipped the wheel, and we all came down on it. My heel got stuck in the sprocket in the rear, and yeah. And then from that point, I know I managed to come across a couple of tow goats. One of them I never got running. I had no idea. And then another one, I had a friend that was really into this sort of stuff too, and he was able to get it running. And we rode that for a little bit, and then it broke down. I think my stepmom sold it at a garage sale. So that's pretty much the extent of my my motorcycle history when I was a kid. Now fast forward to the year 2006. I moved out to the Bay Area, California, out in Palo Alto. And while I was out in Palo Alto, I bought a scooter. It was called the Piaggio BB 250. Now I know you're probably thinking, like, you bought a scooter, but I bought this guy brand new, and it had some get up to it, man. It was such a fun bike, a little automatic. Like, parking was hard to find out there in the Bay Area, and I could just cruise anywhere on that guy, and I had so much fun. In fact, that was probably about the most fun I've ever had motorcycle riding, was out there in California on the little scooter. And moved back to Utah, I sold it. I ended up getting like a 260cc scooter at one point. I got it for like just under $1,000, and I'm like, oh yeah, this will be cool. And it wasn't anywhere near as cool as the Piaggio was, but I still had a little bit of fun on it. Didn't have that for very long. Sold that. And then fast forward to when I bought my KLR. Now I bought the KLR, I had it for 3 or 4 years. Had a lot of fun on it. Just didn't. I mainly used it for night riding. Like, I would put my headphones on and just go out and ride across the town, and had a lot of fun on it. I occasionally rode it up into the canyon, but didn't really utilize it all that much. And then I got into watching moto vlogging, and while watching moto vlogging, I somehow ended up watching dirt biking too, and so I just wanted to buy a dirt bike, and so that's how I ended up with a dirt bike. Now, after a year of owning this bike, am I happy that I got it? Well, absolutely am I happy. With that said, there are some challenges that do come with owning this bike. First off, if you guys are looking at the 250e, the version that they have out now is better than the one that I have, so I would 100% say get it. It's a 6-speed, my bike's a 5-speed, and it also has a counterbalancer in it. One thing I do wish I did regret was, I wish I would have just got their higher end model right off the bat. You know, spend $5,000 instead of $3,000. With that said, I think $3,000, like this bike can still do anything I can do plus tenfold. Like it's not outside of my my riding ability nor my progression ability. But I do wish I had a little bit better bike. Now the pro with that is I'm planning on using this bike as like my 5 mile ahead bike, like my bike that I can experiment with, my Frankenstein bike, that I can change out sprockets on, try new carbs, do all sorts of fun things with. This is going to be my experimental bike up until I get a new one, and my new one will be my baby. But as of now, like, I'm not getting a new one. Like, I like this one so much. Now, some of the other headaches that do come with this bike are the screws that they use on them are rather cheap. I've never broke a screw before, or a nut, and I've broken quite a few of these guys. And so you just got to be really careful when you're tensioning your nuts and bolts. But the other thing is too is you have to have a Hawkeye for looking out for loose nuts and bolts, especially on this guy that vibrates so much. I've had my muffler come off, I've had my seat, like, you name it, it's probably almost fallen off on my bike. And how I look at it is, that is kind of annoying, but when I got into dirt biking, I really didn't know too much about motorcycles. Like, I had started looking at motorcycles and to fix up like the one I had in my garage, and was reading quite a bit and watching tons of YouTube videos to educate myself. But I really never got my hands dirty on fixing them. And so I look at that as like, it's totally a pro for me, because I'm the type of person, I can read something and I'm not going to retain it. I have to do it. So with having my bike either broken or something a little bit wrong with it, yeah, man, I'm 100% gonna learn a lot more that way. So that's definitely a pro with the con. So I would advise getting some Loctite for your nuts and bolts. And the other thing, like, people will say, like, is it hard to find parts? And I'm like, no, not at all. Like, Gary at GPX, in fact, let me back up a little bit. One of the biggest pros about owning one of these bikes is just the community. How helpful people are. I would recommend joining the Facebook page. You can ask these guys anything and they're going to know. Like, these guys are legitimate bikers. They know their bikes, and they're just good guys. And the owner of GPX he'll go out of his way to answer a question and to set you right. So the GPX community, as I was saying, is just a lot of really good guys on there. I've gone out riding with some of them. They're really knowledgeable and mostly just really helpful dudes. And so if you guys are looking at getting a GPX Moto, like, 100% join that page if you have a Facebook, and just look at people's questions that they have and see the responses. But there's some really knowledgeable guys. I know there's some guys that do the scrambles or the hair races, the enduro racing out across the country on these bikes. So they're pretty legit bikes, man. And getting one that's right in the middle of the line, like, I can only imagine getting like one of the good ones. Like, how fun that would be. I'm 37 years old, and I wish I would have gotten into the sport a lot younger, but it is what it is. And now it's just trying to catch up with my bike. But I've heard some complaints about where the key is on the bike. I've never had an issue with it at all. I think that if there is a complaint there, it's a really minor one, and it's just a complaint more than anything because it's different than what someone's used to. But it's literally never gotten in my way or caused my bike to stop or caused any harm. So yeah, one year after, man, I've been in some crazy things or crazy situations. Gotten into many wrecks on this. I've probably gotten in like probably 8 wrecks on this. One of them pretty serious, where I shattered my collarbone and broke my wrist. and that'll wake you up real quick. But that never made me feel like, hey, I gotta stop riding or I'm too afraid to ride. That actually happened on the road, and if anything, it just made me want to ride more. It woke me up and made me feel alive. It's hard to explain, other than when I got the bill. The bill was like, ah, shit. Another really minor complaint that I got on the bike is I've lost a couple license plates from the suspension coming up and hitting into where the plate mount is. I don't know if there's a way they can make the back flap a little bit longer so that when it compresses up that it's not actually putting the rear tire in the way of the plate. Again, that's a really minor complaint, if a complaint at all. But one thing that I've done is I've just taken my new plates since I've lost two of them and I'm kind of sick of losing them, and I put it on my riding backpack. So I got it zip tied onto my riding backpack. I think as long as your plate is visible, you should be good. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what the law states, to tell you the truth. Mine is on my back, and it should be pretty visible. But I've never had a police guy or sheriff tell me, hey man, you can or cannot do that. So that's what I'm doing. So some other things or issues that I've had with the bike, I've had issues with the cupping or the exhaust gasket that came off. Finding a part for that was not all that hard because I had looked for one. I came up with an awesome idea of what to do. You take like a little bit of a radiator hose. That's what I'm going to do after the fix that I have on it. When that breaks, I'm going to put the radiator hose on it. But Gary from GPX had contacted me, let me know when the part came in. But that's kind of the look I get from people. When I went and got the rear tire changed on this guy, the people that fixed it, or the people that changed the tires, they never heard of GPX Moto. And so their brains are automatically wired to the degree that when you say it's a Chinese motorcycle, they're going to start automatically thinking that your bike is crappy. And they're going to automatically think that your bike is Chinese, that you can't get parts for it, or that it's not as good quality, or that they're going to have a lot of stigmas or connotations that aren't exactly true, and actually they're pretty outdated. Like, to get a part on this guy is easy as looking up one online, man, for the most part. I'm sure that there's some parts that might be a little bit harder to find, but I haven't had any issues finding any parts. You can get a lot of little mods for it really cheap on Amazon that work just fine with it. Like these rear view mirrors, man, I got on Amazon. So if you're on the fence about buying a GPX Moto, my number one recommendation is just joining that Facebook page, seeing what the community's like, hearing from other people. Like, I've had my bike for a year. I'm not an expert on motorcycles, nor am I an expert on GPX Moto, but I guarantee you that there are plenty of experts on that page, and they're just good guys. I can't stress enough how good guys they are, how much they've helped me learn about my bike.